So you're already fluent in English. You know the words, you know the basic rules. But what if I told you that writing truly powerful sentences isn't about just following rules? It's about architecture. Today, we're going to learn how to build sentences, how to construct statements that aren't just correct, but are strong, elegant, and really truly engaging. Okay, take a look at this. On the one hand, you could say, the team faced challenges. They worked hard, they finished the project. I mean, it works, right? It gets the point across, but it kind of feels like a pile of loose bricks. Now listen to this version. Although the team faced challenges, they worked hard and finished the project. See that? Suddenly it's not a pile of bricks, it's an arch. The ideas are connected, creating a single, sophisticated structure that has real flow.
So that's the big question, isn't it? How do you make that jump? How do we go from those simple, choppy sentences to something that feels so much more impactful and put together? Well, that's the blueprint we're going to lay out today.
And this is the absolute key to the whole thing. You need to stop thinking of yourself as just a writer and start thinking like a sentence architect. You're not just putting words on a page. You are choosing your materials, you're planning your design, and you are assembling something that's meant to be solid and impressive.
Every great architect has to know their materials inside and out before they can even think about construction. For us, our fundamental building blocks are things called phrases and clauses. So let's get to know our materials.
So the most basic material you have is a phrase. Think of it like a single brick, or maybe a cool decorative window. Things like after the meeting or with great enthusiasm. They add really important detail and color, but they can't stand up on their own, right? They have to be part of a bigger structure.
Now this is your foundation. An independent clause is a complete thought. It can be a sentence all by itself. The team completed the project. It's got a subject, the team, and a verb, completed. This thing is strong, it's stable, it is totally self-supporting. This is the absolute core of every single sentence you build.
And then you've got your dependent clause. This is more like a balcony or maybe a cool extension you add on to the house. It has a subject and a verb, but it starts with a special word like because or although or if, which makes it feel, well, incomplete. Although the project was difficult. See, you're kind of left hanging. It depends on a main foundation to make sense.
Okay, so we've got our building blocks. Now we need the stuff that holds them all together. The mortar, the bolts, the fasteners of our language. This is your toolkit of conjunctions and punctuation. First up, we've got the coordinating conjunctions. You've probably heard the acronym fanboys. These are your heavy-duty go-to connectors. You use them to join two strong, independent foundations together. And adds information, but shows a contrast, and so points to a result. Picking the right one is absolutely crucial for showing the reader how your ideas link up. Next in the toolbox are subordinating conjunctions. Now these are more like specialized tools. You use them to attach one of those dependent blocks, that balcony we talked about, onto your main foundation. And words like because, although, and while don't just connect. They also tell you the relationship between the two parts. Is it a cause, a contrast, a condition? And finally, we have the semicolon. Okay, this is a bit of an advanced tool for a more polished, seamless look. It lets you fuse two of those main foundations together without any connector word at all. But there's a catch. The two ideas have to be really, really closely related. It's a powerful and pretty elegant choice when you use it right.
All right, we've got our materials, we've got our tools. Let's actually start building. First up, we're going to construct what's called a compound sentence by joining two strong foundations together.
The blueprint for this is super simple. You take one strong independent clause, you take a second strong independent clause, then you pick the perfect connector from your Fanboys toolkit to show how they're related, and you join them with a comma right before that connector. Easy.
Let's see this blueprint in action. The sun was setting, boom, that's one solid foundation. We decided to head back to camp. There's our second one. We connect them with so to create this perfect cause and effect link. Two foundations joined securely and logically.
And hey, remember that special tool, the semicolon? This is another place you can use it. If your two foundations are super close in meaning, you can just use a semicolon instead. For example, the presentation was a success. The client was thrilled. It's a stylistic choice, but it creates this very tight, sophisticated connection.
Okay, you've mastered the basic two foundation structure. Now it's time to get a little more ambitious with our architecture. Let's build what are called complex sentences by adding a dependent support structure to our main foundation. So for this build, our materials list is a little different. We need one of those strong foundations, an independent clause, and one of those add-ons, a dependent clause.
And the blueprint is just as straightforward. You can start with your main foundation, the team completed it ahead of schedule, and then just attach your dependent clause, because they worked efficiently. Or, for a little extra flair, you can put that dependent part first, just make sure you separate it with a comma. Because they worked efficiently, the team completed it ahead of schedule. Take a look at this in practice. Although the project was difficult, there's our dependent clause, and it's setting up a really interesting contrast. Then it connects seamlessly to the main foundation. The team completed it ahead of schedule. In one single, elegant sentence, you've shown this complex relationship between a challenge and a success. That's powerful.
And once you mastered those two basic structures, well, that's when you can start building skyscrapers. A compound complex sentence is the whole shebang. It combines everything we've talked about, at least two main foundations and at least one dependent add-on. It's the ultimate way to show really intricate relationships between multiple ideas in just one flowing thought.
So there you have it. We've laid out the materials, we've gone through the toolkit, and we've looked at the architectural blueprints. You have the theory down, now the fun part begins. It's time to start building. Let's just boil it all down. What are the key takeaways? First, always know what building blocks you're working with. Second, always choose the right connector for the job. Third, build for clarity and purpose, not just to make long sentences. And finally, vary your structures. A city with different buildings is way more interesting than one with all the same blocks.
Look, at the end of the day, this isn't about memorizing a bunch of boring grammar rules. It's about making smart, creative, architectural choices. It's how you take control of the rhythm and flow of your writing. It's how you guide your reader through your ideas. This is where you find your real voice and power as a writer.
You officially have the toolkit of a sentence architect. You understand the foundations, the add-ons, and all the connectors that hold it together. So the only question left is, what amazing structures are you going to build next?